Humanity had always been underestimated by the stars. For centuries, the Galactic Overlords, a council of advanced alien civilizations, had looked down on Earth with amusement, dismissing humans as insignificant, primitive, and incapable of real strategy or power. Ambassadors from the council often spoke over human representatives with condescending tones, laughing at Earth's attempts to join interstellar diplomacy. They boasted about their fleets, their technology, and their centuries of dominance, treating humanity like children showing off their first rudimentary inventions. Yet behind the laughter and the mockery, humans were observing, learning, and quietly building strength. On Earth, political leaders, military commanders, and scientists met in secret sessions to coordinate a response. They knew brute force alone would not win the day. Humanity's advantage was in unpredictability, ingenuity, and determination. Captain Jameson, a seasoned space fleet commander with decades of experience in human defense operations, reviewed the classified intelligence reports on the Overlord's fleet compositions. The aliens relied heavily on large, cumbersome dreadnoughts with slow maneuvering but overwhelming firepower. Their reliance on predictable formations and hierarchical command structures made them vulnerable to tactics that exploited speed, flexibility, and deception. On the research front, Dr. Elena Vargas led a team of quantum engineers developing a revolutionary propulsion system capable of near-instantaneous fleet repositioning. The system had been tested under extreme secrecy, and early results suggested it could allow human ships to appear anywhere in the Overlord's fleet without warning, bypassing even most sophisticated sensors. Meanwhile, the political sphere was tense, as Earth's representatives negotiated covert alliances with sympathetic alien species who had suffered under the Overlord's domination. These alliances provided critical intelligence and unconventional technology, enhancing humanity's capacity to challenge a galactic hegemony that had dismissed them for far too long. On the day, the Council delivered yet another humiliating declaration, calling humanity's fleets insignificant and Earth itself a primitive outpost. The decision was made. Humanity would not beg for recognition, nor would it submit quietly. The Council believed their fleets were invincible, that the humans were nothing more than insects to be ignored or eradicated if they misbehaved. But Earth had been preparing for this moment for decades, quietly amassing forces, refining tactics, and readying technology that even the Overlords could not anticipate. The first phase involved intelligence infiltration, where human hackers and AI operatives penetrated the Overlord's central communication networks, gathering real-time information on fleet movements, command hierarchies, and strategic plans. The aliens had never considered the possibility that their systems could be compromised by what they deemed primitive minds, and this arrogance became humanity's first advantage. In parallel, specialized strike teams trained for high-risk boarding operations, infiltration, and sabotage, using human adaptability to overcome alien physical and technological superiority. Their missions focus on disabling critical fleet systems and creating chaos within enemy ranks before the main human assault fleet engaged. Across Earth's spaceports, shipyards operated around the clock. Engineers and technicians worked tirelessly, converting industrial vessels into combat-ready ships equipped with the new propulsion and weapon systems. Civilians volunteer for auxiliary support roles, providing logistical, medical, and strategic assistance, understanding that this conflict was not just a military endeavor but the survival of their species. The psychological warfare campaign began as well, broadcast in the Overlord's languages, filled with subtle manipulations and disinformation, sowed confusion and hesitation among alien officers. The humans leveraged knowledge of alien culture, psychology, and command rigidity to make the Overlords doubt their own decisions, forcing them into defensive postures long before the first human ships arrived. When the first human fleet departed Earth, the Overlords received the news with amusement, certain it would amount to nothing. They did not know that each ship was equipped with stealth technology, electronic warfare modules, and precision strike capabilities designed to exploit every weakness in their massive formations. As the fleet crossed a void between star systems, human crews trained for years executed maneuvers that no alien had ever predicted, coordinating with AI-driven tactical systems to adapt in real time to threats and opportunities. The humans approached the Overlord's frontier outposts, first observing, then testing, and finally striking with precision. Entire squadrons of alien vessels were disabled or destroyed before the main fleet could respond, demonstrating the terrifying efficiency of human planning and execution. Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread among the Overlord's ranks about the unexpected ferocity and brilliance of the human forces. The aliens had mocked, underestimated, and ignored humanity for centuries, and now they were faced with a species capable of turning every perceived weakness into a weapon, every flaw into a strategic advantage. On Earth, the leadership remained calm but resolute. Every victory, every disabled dreadnought, every turned tide of battle was documented and analyzed to improve subsequent operations. Humanity was not relying on luck or chance, but on relentless preparation, adaptability, and a refusal to accept anything less than total victory. The Council, confident in their centuries of dominance, had never imagined a scenario where humans could challenge them so effectively, so strategically, and with such unified determination. The first major engagement loomed, and both humans and their alien allies knew the galaxy was about to witness a demonstration of human capability unlike anything it had ever seen. Humanity had been mocked, but the time for mockery had ended. From Earth to the edge of the Overlord's empire, the stars themselves would bear witness to what humanity could achieve when pushed to the brink, when united by survival, ingenuity, and the will to fight back against those who had long assumed they were nothing more than insects in the cosmic order. Humanity's journey from dismissed underdogs to feared strategists and warriors had only just begun, but already the echoes of their coming victory spread across the void, stirring fear, disbelief, and awe among the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. The humans were ready, and the Overlords would soon learn that mocking a species with the resolve of humanity was the gravest mistake they had ever made. The human fleet moved with precision through the darkness of space, each vessel following intricate trajectories calculated to exploit weaknesses in the Overlord's patrol routes. On board the flagship, Admiral Rebecca Turner monitored dozens of holographic displays, tracking enemy movements, communications, and energy signatures. Her experience in interstellar combat and years of observing alien behavior allowed her to anticipate their responses in ways the Overlords could not imagine. Every captain and crew member had undergone exhaustive simulations, learning to adapt to any scenario within moments, a flexibility the rigid Overlord command structure could never replicate. The first encounter came at a remote sector near the edge of known Overlord territory, where a scouting fleet had been reported. The aliens were confident, sending their vessels in predictable formations, assuming humans would either retreat or be easily overwhelmed. The moment the Overlord ships entered the kill zone, human forces executed a series of sudden maneuvers, appearing from multiple directions almost simultaneously, striking their flanks and exploiting blind spots in the alien sensors. Energy shields flared and then failed as precision torpedoes disabled the first line of ships, and the Overlord commanders were forced to scramble, realizing too late that their formation, once thought invincible, was being systematically dismantled. Dr. Elena Vargas, operating from Earth Command, coordinated the deployment of new experimental weaponry that humans had developed in secret. Directed energy beams capable of piercing the most resilient alien alloys, quantum disruptors that could scramble navigation systems, and advanced AI-guided drones all worked in tandem, overwhelming the enemy with a level of complexity no single Overlord fleet could manage. The aliens struggled to adapt, their superior numbers rendered irrelevant as human ingenuity and adaptability created chaos in their ranks. Amid the chaos, specialized human boarding teams teleported onto disabled Overlord vessels, quickly taking control of command centers, extracting critical intelligence, and neutralizing the remaining crew. Their actions were surgical and swift, leaving no chance for counterattack, and every captured system provided additional insight into the structure and vulnerabilities of the larger Overlord forces. Back on Earth, the political leadership watched the initial engagements unfold via secure communication channels, aware that each success not only disrupted alien operations, but also sent a psychological shockwave through the Overlord hierarchy. Across council chambers, alien leaders began to argue, hesitant and unsure, their centuries of experience failing to account for humans' unconventional tactics and relentless efficiency. Intelligence reports highlighted the Overlord's growing confusion, their fleets operating at cross purposes as misinformation, and sudden losses forced them to question long-held assumptions. Captain Jameson, aboard a strike frigate, coordinated with other human vessels in a sequence of feints and flanking maneuvers, creating the impression of overwhelming numbers, when in fact the fleet remained highly mobile and smaller than the aliens expected. The combination of deception, precision, and technological superiority allowed humans to dominate engagements without suffering catastrophic losses, a reality the Overlords had never anticipated. Meanwhile, Earth's research teams continued to adapt in real time. Every captured Overlord system provided new data on energy weapons, propulsion techniques, and command protocols, allowing humans to counter and even predict alien strategies. Dr. Vargas and her team pushed the limits of quantum computing to simulate battles in microseconds, providing real-time guidance to commanders in the field. The psychological impact on the alien forces was immediate. Rumors spread that human ships could vanish and reappear at will, strike without warning, and neutralize entire squadrons in moments. Panic and indecision began to ripple through the Overlord fleet, and minor disagreements among their leaders escalated into open conflict over the proper response. Across the galaxy, other alien civilizations watched in disbelief as humanity executed operations that no one had thought possible. Former allies of the Overlords quietly reassessed their loyalties, some even reaching out covertly to offer support to Earth, knowing that the balance of power was shifting dramatically. On board human vessels, crews remained focused and disciplined. Fear was replaced by determination, and every soldier, pilot, and technician understood that they were part of a turning point in galactic history. Civilian engineers and scientists continued to refine technology mid-conflict, creating iterative improvements that enhanced fleet performance, weapon accuracy, and communication security, all while maintaining operational secrecy from the enemy. As the first major engagement concluded, the results were clear. Entire alien formations had been neutralized, critical intelligence had been gathered, and the Overlord's confidence had been shattered. Humanity had proven that they were no longer a species to be dismissed, mocked, or underestimated. The Council attempted to regroup, sending reinforcements and issuing commands, but the very structure of their hierarchy, once a strength, became a liability. Orders delayed, responses conflicted, and human forces adapted to each new maneuver with ease. On Earth, leaders knew that this was only the beginning. Each victory had revealed weaknesses in the Overlord strategies, and each loss inflicted on the aliens would embolden humanity further. Plans for the next phase of operations, targeting key command hubs and supply lines, were already underway, designed to create disruptions so severe that the Overlords would no longer be able to coordinate even basic defensive actions. The galaxy itself seemed to pause, watching as humans, once considered insignificant, executed a campaign marked by intelligence, discipline, and unyielding resolve. Humanity's emergence from the shadows of mockery into the forefront of galactic power was a story written with precision, courage, and a refusal to accept the limitations imposed by centuries of alien contempt. Every ship that returned to Earth carried more than just survivors and data. They carried proof that humanity's moment had arrived. The Overlord had mocked them, dismissed them, and underestimated them. But now, the human race was fighting back with force that would not stop until the galaxy had understood that mocking humanity was the gravest mistake it had ever made. Humanity's assault on the Overlord's outer sectors had barely begun, yet the shock waves of their victory spread faster than any fleet could travel. Across multiple systems, alien colonies previously thought secure now faced unexpected raids, sabotage, and infiltration. On board the human command vessel, Admiral Rebecca Turner convened a strategic council with her top captains and officers, each representing a critical front in the campaign. They analyzed every piece of intelligence gathered from earlier skirmishes, including captured communication logs, fleet blueprints, and operational protocols. Each victory revealed patterns in the Overlord's tactics, an over-reliance on sheer firepower, predictable response hierarchies, and a tendency to underestimate the speed and ingenuity of human forces. Captain Marcus Hale, leading a fast strike group, reported that small coordinated attacks on supply convoys caused cascading failures throughout enemy logistics networks. Without supplies, ammunition, and reinforcements, the Overlord fleets could not sustain prolonged engagements, and human forces exploited these weaknesses relentlessly. On Earth, Dr. Elena Vargas' teams worked round the clock to develop new countermeasures to alien technology, rapidly converting captured systems into advanced weaponry and defense modules for human ships. Quantum drives are refined to allow near-instantaneous relocation, enabling humans to strike in multiple locations before the enemy could react. Meanwhile, the Overlords struggled to comprehend the scale of humanity's tactical adaptability. Their council meetings devolved into arguments, accusations, and conflicting directives as commanders tried in vain to predict human movements. The aliens were used to civilizations that followed patterns and hierarchies, but humans responded dynamically, improvising solutions that constantly outmaneuvered even the most experienced alien strategists. On one frontier, a human boarding team infiltrated an Overlord research station, uncovering critical experimental technologies designed to enhance fleet weaponry. By the time the aliens realized the breach, humans had extracted vital data and left the station in flames, demonstrating both tactical brilliance and psychological warfare. Across the galaxy, rumors of human prowess spread. Allied alien species began to question their own assumptions, secretly aiding humans with intelligence and resources, while other civilizations reconsidered their alliances with the Overlords. The psychological impact was as devastating as the physical damage. Confidence among Overlord forces began to erode, replaced with fear, confusion, and hesitation. Human pilots trained in unconventional combat tactics executed maneuvers that seemed impossible to the alien observers. Coordinated strike teams utilized decoy drones, cloaked frigates, and AI-assisted targeting to neutralize entire squadrons of Overlord ships before they could mount a meaningful defense. Each engagement showcased the perfect synergy of human adaptability, courage, and technological innovation. Earth's political leaders communicated these victories carefully, emphasizing strategy and restraint while ensuring that the Overlords realized the magnitude of humanity's capabilities. Public morale soared as civilians saw their species rising to meet a threat that had once been considered insurmountable. Back in enemy space, the Council's frustration intensified. Their attempts to reorganize defenses were constantly thwarted by human unpredictability, and every delay caused further loss of territory, resources, and morale. The aliens' arrogance, once their greatest strength, had become a vulnerability that humans exploited at every opportunity. Deep in the heart of the campaign, Captain Jameson coordinated multiple simultaneous strikes across different systems, ensuring that Overlord forces could not predict or consolidate their defenses. Each mission was executed with precision, blending human creativity, calculated risk-taking, and relentless determination. Communications were encrypted, maneuvers synchronized, and contingencies prepared for every conceivable scenario. The result was a relentless wave of attacks that destabilized the enemy across multiple fronts, overwhelming them not through sheer numbers, but through strategy, adaptability, and timing. On Earth, scientists continued to push boundaries, refining weapon systems and fleet coordination algorithms based on real-time battlefield data. They developed countermeasures to alien energy weapons, shields that could adapt to varying attack frequencies, and new stealth technologies that allowed human fleets to appear in unexpected locations. Each breakthrough increased the disparity between human potential and Overlord assumptions. The Overlord mistakes compounded as humans exploited every weakness, turning predictable formations into traps and overconfidence into vulnerability. Small human detachments succeeded in capturing or destroying strategic points, from communications hubs to fuel depots, creating chaos that reverberated to the alien command hierarchy. The Overlord's leaders grew desperate, issuing harsher orders, deploying more forces, and attempting to intimidate human commanders, but every action was anticipated and countered. Humanity's ingenuity, resilience, and relentless focus on victory ensured that no Overlord maneuver succeeded without cost. Civilians on Earth followed every development with awe and pride, understanding that this was not just a battle of fleets, but a demonstration of humanity's capacity for coordination, innovation, and courage. Across the galaxy, species that had once viewed humans as insignificant began to reconsider their perceptions, realizing that a civilization underestimated at every turn had become the most formidable force in the known universe. The stage was set for the next phase of the campaign, where human forces would target the Overlord central systems, striking at the heart of their power. Every victory had been carefully calculated, every move a preparation for the ultimate confrontation. Humanity had proven beyond doubt that mocking them was not only arrogant but deadly, and the Overlord would soon face a reckoning that would forever change the galactic order. From the shadows of contempt to the forefront of interstellar power, humans advanced with unyielding determination, their every action a testament to the strength, ingenuity, and indomitable spirit of a species that would not be dismissed, underestimated, or defeated. The galaxy was learning a harsh lesson. Humanity was no longer the underdog, but the force that would define the future of the stars. The human offensive advanced deeper into Overlord territory, each engagement revealing both the alien empire's vulnerabilities and humanity's capacity to exploit them. On board the flagship, Admiral Rebecca Turner coordinated simultaneous assaults across 3 different sectors, using quantum communications to maintain perfect synchronization between fleets separated by light years. Each squadron executed complex maneuvers designed to confuse, overwhelm, and isolate enemy formations, turning the Overlord's numerical superiority into a liability. Captain Marcus Hale led a rapid response team that struck supply convoys and orbital stations, severing lines of communication and logistics, while specialized human engineers deployed electronic warfare devices that jammed enemy sensors, creating blind zones where human ships could appear out of nowhere. On Earth, Dr. Elena Vargas teams continued to refine adaptive shielding and energy weapons based on real-time battle data, enabling human vessels to withstand attacks that would have obliterated them just weeks prior. The integration of captured Overlord technology allowed for hybrid systems that exceeded the performance of anything the aliens had originally deployed, turning their own innovations against them. The Overlords, still reeling from earlier defeats, struggled to coordinate counterattacks. Council meetings devolved into chaos as leaders argued over strategy, underestimated human adaptability, and attempted to impose centralized control over a fleet that could not respond quickly enough to dynamic threats. Human intelligence operatives exploited this disarray, intercepting communications and feeding false orders that further amplified confusion within the alien ranks. As the campaign continued, psychological warfare became a key element of humanity's strategy. Broadcasts in Overlord languages, carefully designed to provoke doubt and mistrust, undermined confidence in leadership, leading to hesitation and mistakes on the battlefield. Rumors of human abilities, ships appearing from nowhere, boarding teams capable of infiltrating heavily guarded stations, and energy weapons that could penetrate the most advanced shields, spread rapidly, sowing fear and chaos. Meanwhile, human pilots and engineers adapted in real time to evolving situations, employing tactics that relied on improvisation, split-second decision-making, and coordinated teamwork. The Overlord's rigid hierarchy prevented them from responding as effectively, and each miscalculation compounded their losses. On a remote industrial system, human special forces infiltrated a major Overlord weapons facility, disabling production lines and seizing experimental prototypes. The operation was conducted with precision, leaving minimal trace of human presence while crippling the aliens' ability to replenish lost assets. Simultaneously, coordinated attacks on orbital defense platforms created openings for larger fleet movements, allowing humans to strike deeper into enemy territory with minimal resistance. Across the galaxy, allied species watched as humanity transformed from a dismissed civilization into a strategic powerhouse. Formerly neutral or subjugated species began supplying intelligence, safe harbor, and technological support, creating a network of assistance that magnified human strength. The Overlords were forced to recognize that their centuries of dominance had left them vulnerable to a species they had mocked and underestimated. In the midst of these operations, Captain Jameson led a fleet tasked with a high-risk mission to capture the command hub of a major Overlord sector. The operation required precise timing, stealth maneuvers, and rapid exploitation of enemy errors. Human crews executed flawlessly, neutralizing defenses, disabling automated weapons, and taking control of the hub with minimal casualties. The information gained from the hub allowed Admiral Turner to predict enemy movements with unprecedented accuracy, giving humans the ability to preemptively counter strategies and strike decisively. On Earth, the civilian population remained engaged, providing vital support to the war effort through industrial production, research, and communications. Humanity's society demonstrated resilience and unity, proving that the strength of the species extended beyond the military into every facet of civilization. The Overlords, meanwhile, faced mounting pressure both on the battlefield and within their own council. Distrust, fear, and confusion spread as they realized their traditional tactics were ineffective against a civilization that adapted faster than they could anticipate. Attempts to intimidate, bribe, or negotiate with humans failed. Every engagement reinforced the realization that humanity was organized, relentless, and unyielding. In the aftermath of multiple coordinated assaults, entire sectors of Overlord territory were destabilized. Supply lines were severed, communication networks compromised, and key leadership positions left vulnerable. Humanity had demonstrated a mastery of both technology and strategy, turning what the Overlords had considered weaknesses, human adaptability, ingenuity, and unpredictability, into overwhelming advantages. As Admiral Turner prepared for the next phase of the campaign, targeting the core systems of the Overlord Empire, a clear pattern emerged. Every victory revealed another layer of human capability, another opportunity to exploit alien hubris. Humanity's rise was no longer subtle. The galaxy witnessed a species that refused to remain dismissed, a civilization that had mastered the art of warfare, strategy, and diplomacy simultaneously. Every step taken, every fleet maneuver executed, and every system captured sent a powerful message. Mocking humanity was a fatal error, and the Overlords would soon face consequences for centuries of arrogance and contempt. The human offensive pressed on, unrelenting, precise, and adaptive, proving that when humanity decided to fight, no power in the galaxy could ignore, dismiss, or defeat them. The battle for supremacy had only intensified, and the Overlords, for the first time in their history, began to understand that they had underestimated a force far greater than they had ever imagined. Humanity's campaign had reached a critical stage as fleets pushed toward the inner territories of the Overlord Empire, where the central command structures, research facilities, and resource hubs were concentrated. Admiral Rebecca Turner studied the detailed maps of the sector, noting the heavily fortified systems that formed the backbone of the Overlord's power. Every decision carried immense weight, as a single misstep could result in catastrophic losses, but human forces had now honed the precision and coordination necessary to operate at an unprecedented scale. Captain Marcus Hale led a vanguard through a series of asteroid fields that served as natural defenses, using the terrain to mask fleet movements and create surprise attack vectors. Smaller strike teams deployed advanced cloaking technology, approaching orbital stations undetected, and neutralizing automated defense arrays before the main fleet even engaged. On Earth, Dr. Elena Vargas and her team implemented rapid upgrades to weapons and defensive systems, incorporating lessons learned from the previous battles. Energy weapons were now capable of adaptive targeting. Shields could reconfigure to absorb varying attack frequencies, and propulsion systems allowed ships to execute maneuvers previously thought impossible. Intelligence gathered from captured Overlord vessels revealed vulnerabilities in their command protocols, including delayed decision-making processes and rigid adherence to pre-programmed fleet formations. Humans exploited these flaws, creating diversions and feints that forced alien commanders to misallocate resources and respond reactively rather than strategically. Psychological operations continued alongside kinetic attacks, with carefully timed transmissions in Overlord languages designed to create confusion, mistrust, and fear among enemy officers. Rumors of human capabilities spread rapidly, eroding confidence and fostering hesitation that the humans could exploit. In one critical engagement near the core industrial sectors, a human strike group led by Captain Jameson executed a daring orbital insertion, disabling multiple defense platforms in a coordinated assault. Using captured Overlord communication protocols, human forces fed false information to alien units, directing them away from critical assets and creating openings for fleet movements. The Overlords, already struggling with the unpredictability and adaptability of human forces, found themselves reacting to phantom threats and chasing illusions while key positions were overrun. Across the galaxy, allied species observed humanity's approach with a mixture of awe and relief, providing clandestine support in the form of intelligence, safe passage, and experimental technology. The combined effect magnified the humans' capabilities, creating a force that outmatched even the Overlord's numerical superiority. On board human vessels, crews adapted dynamically to battlefield conditions, improvising when systems failed, exploiting weaknesses in alien armor and coordinating strikes across multiple fronts with extraordinary precision. Each operation was executed with careful calculation, but the humans also embraced creativity and intuition, factors the Overlords could not anticipate or counter effectively. As human forces advanced through the inner systems, Overlord leaders began to experience panic and infighting. Their attempts to centralize command and coordinate a coherent response were constantly disrupted by human interference, both through direct strikes and subtle manipulations of communication networks. The Council's arrogance had blinded them to the possibility of an enemy capable of outthinking, outmaneuvering, and outlasting them. Meanwhile, back on Earth, civilian support for the war effort remained vital. Production facilities churned out upgrades, medical teams prepared for casualties, and communication specialists maintained secure links with deployed fleets. Humanity's society had transformed into a fully integrated war machine, demonstrating resilience, organization, and collective focus unmatched in galactic history. In another daring operation, human boarding teams infiltrated a heavily defended Overlord research station, securing experimental weapons and technological blueprints, while neutralizing hostile personnel. The intelligence gain allowed Admiral Turner to refine fleet tactics further, ensuring that subsequent engagements would be executed with even greater efficiency. Overlord morale continued to erode. Losses that would have been considered minor in previous wars now had outsized impacts due to the precision and psychological pressure applied by human forces. Fear and mistrust spread among commanders, leading to delayed decisions, miscommunication, and increasingly desperate maneuvers. Humanity's combination of strategy, adaptability, and psychological acumen created a cascading effect, destabilizing the enemy on multiple levels simultaneously. By the time human fleets reached the core industrial sectors, the Overlords were already reeling. Entire defensive perimeters had been breached, critical resource hubs compromised, and the Council's authority undermined by constant failures. Human commanders, leveraging real-time intelligence and the flexibility of their forces, executed strikes that were simultaneously devastating and methodical, leaving no doubt about humanity's capabilities. Across the galaxy, civilizations once subjugated or dismissed by the Overlords began to whisper of a new power, a species that had risen from obscurity to challenge the mightiest empire in history. Humanity's victories were not just military but symbolic, demonstrating that ingenuity, adaptability, and determination could overcome centuries of technological and strategic superiority. The campaign's momentum was unstoppable. Each success reinforced human confidence while intensifying the Overlord's sense of crisis. The Council realized too late that their previous mockery of Earth had been a catastrophic error, and that underestimating humanity had left them vulnerable to a species capable of transforming every perceived weakness into a strategic advantage. As fleets prepared for the next phase of operations, targeting the central command structures and key resource nodes, it became clear that the galaxy itself was about to witness a demonstration of human resolve, innovation, and martial brilliance unlike anything in recorded history. Humanity had moved from dismissed underdogs to unstoppable force, and the Overlords would soon face the full scope of their miscalculation, learning that mocking humanity was a mistake that could no longer be forgiven, reversed, or ignored. Humanity's push into the Overlord heartland intensified as fleets approached the central command systems, the core of the Empire's military, political, and economic power. Admiral Rebecca Turner coordinated multi-pronged assaults, each fleet moving with surgical precision to target communications hubs, orbital fortresses, and supply depots simultaneously. Captain Marcus Hale led a squadron through a dense nebula, using advanced stealth drives to avoid detection while disabling key sensor arrays, ensuring that larger human formations could strike without warning. On board Earth, Dr. Elena Vargas' teams refined quantum disruption devices that could interfere with Overlord fleet coordination in real time, giving humans the ability to fragment enemy formations and manipulate responses before they could organize countermeasures. Intelligence gained from prior operations allowed human strategists to anticipate enemy deployments, predict reinforcements, and exploit structural weaknesses in both technology and command hierarchy. The Overlords, already shaken by earlier defeats, struggled to mount an effective defense as humans applied relentless pressure on multiple fronts. Psychological warfare campaigns amplified the chaos, spreading misinformation, false orders, and rumors of unstoppable human capabilities, further eroding confidence among alien officers. In one daring operation, human boarding teams infiltrated a heavily defended orbital citadel, neutralizing its garrison, capturing advanced technology, and securing critical intelligence on the inner workings of the Overlord Command Council. This allowed Admiral Turner to coordinate strikes that disrupted core communications, leaving alien fleets disorganized and vulnerable. Simultaneously, human engineers deployed mobile energy nodes and adaptive shielding across the fleet, enhancing survivability against previously devastating weapons, and giving crews the flexibility to maneuver aggressively in environments the Overlords believed secure. As human forces pressed closer to the central systems, the alien council grew increasingly desperate. Factions formed within their leadership, with some advocating retreat, others counterattacks, and yet others seeking negotiation or surrender, but the humans had anticipated every possibility. The rigid hierarchy and centralized command structure of the Overlords, once a strength, now worked against them, as delays and indecision prevented effective responses to fluid human tactics. Across multiple battlefronts, human pilots executed coordinated attacks that seemed to defy logic, appearing and disappearing in ways the aliens could not track. Cloaked frigates, AI-guided drones, and rapid strike teams combined in relentless waves, each engagement weakening the Overlord's ability to respond. Intelligence specialists intercepted every transmission, feeding false information that misdirected enemy forces, while humans secured strategic positions. On Earth, society continued to operate as a seamless war machine, with scientists, engineers, logistics personnel, and civilians contributing to the war effort. Every operation, every technological upgrade, and every strategic maneuver demonstrated the ingenuity, determination, and unity of humanity, proving that the species' strength extended far beyond military prowess. In the central systems, human forces discovered that many Overlord technologies had vulnerabilities they could exploit. Weapons platforms could be overloaded, communication relays hijacked, and fleet maneuvers predicted through analysis of their rigid protocols. Using these insights, human commanders designed strikes that maximize disruption while minimizing risk, turning enemy confidence into panic and chaos. The Overlords, realizing the magnitude of the threat, attempted to consolidate their remaining forces, but human interference, rapid adaptation, and superior coordination rendered these efforts futile. Each victory not only secured territory, but also demoralized the enemy, sending a message across the galaxy that humanity's rise was unstoppable. As human fleets pressed on, civilian morale on Earth soared, with broadcasts detailing victories, strategic insights, and acts of bravery inspiring a sense of shared purpose. Humanity's campaign became more than a military endeavor. It was a demonstration of resilience, ingenuity, and the capacity of a species to unite under extraordinary circumstances. By the time human forces reached the core orbital platforms controlling fleet movements and central logistics, the Overlords were in full retreat, their empire unraveling under a combination of precision strikes, psychological warfare, and strategic ingenuity. Every engagement reinforced a lesson that mocking humanity had been a grave miscalculation, and that underestimating a species capable of adapting, learning, and innovating rapidly could have devastating consequences. Admiral Turner, observing the coordinated chaos and the success of her fleets, prepared the final assault on the Central Command nodes. Each ship, crew, and team knew their role in the culmination of a campaign that had transformed humanity from the laughed-at underdog to a force capable of redefining galactic power structures. Humanity's offensive was now a symbol, not just of tactical mastery, but of the consequences of arrogance, complacency, and the failure to recognize potential in an underestimated opponent. The Overlords would soon face the ultimate reckoning, and the galaxy itself would witness the culmination of human ingenuity, courage, and determination as the species that had been mocked, dismissed, and underestimated finally claimed its place among the stars as a power no civilization could ignore or challenge without consequence. Humanity's forces had reached the central hubs of the Overlord Empire, where massive orbital stations, command citadels, and production facilities formed the beating heart of their dominion. Admiral Rebecca Turner oversaw the deployment of her fleets with unerring precision, coordinating simultaneous assaults on multiple strategic points, while ensuring that communication and supply lines remained secure. Captain Marcus Hale led specialized strike teams through dense asteroid belts and nebulae, utilizing stealth and advanced propulsion to bypass enemy defenses and neutralize critical nodes before the main fleets engaged. On Earth, Dr. Elena Vargas' teams finalized the deployment of adaptive weapon systems capable of countering even the most sophisticated Overlord energy shields, turning previously impregnable stations into vulnerable targets. Intelligence from prior operations allowed human commanders to anticipate enemy countermeasures, exploit predictable patterns, and create diversions that drew alien forces into traps. Across the Overlord Empire, panic and confusion spread as fleets found themselves attacked from unexpected directions, communication lines jammed, and command structures disrupted. The Council's arrogance had become a liability, with leaders issuing conflicting orders and second-guessing each other, while human forces exploited every weakness with methodical precision. In a daring operation, human boarding teams infiltrated the largest orbital citadel, neutralizing defensive crews, capturing advanced technologies, and extracting critical data on the Empire's Central Command protocols. This information allowed Admiral Turner to coordinate strikes that paralyzed Overlord coordination, leaving vast swaths of territory undefended and vulnerable. Across multiple battlefronts, human pilots executed high-speed, unpredictable maneuvers, blending advanced AI guidance with intuitive human judgment to outflank and destroy alien squadrons. Cloaked frigates and adaptive drones struck simultaneously from multiple vectors, overwhelming the enemy's capacity to respond effectively. On Earth, civilian support continued to bolster the war effort. Production facilities maintained a continuous output of upgraded ships, weapons, and resources, while engineers implemented real-time improvements to fleet systems based on battlefield intelligence. The unity and resilience of human society ensured that the campaign maintained momentum and that every victory could be leveraged to achieve strategic advantage. The Overlords attempted to mount counterattacks, deploying their most powerful vessels and activating experimental weapons. But human forces anticipated every move, exploiting flaws in alien targeting, propulsion, and communication systems to neutralize threats before they could achieve impact. Psychological operations amplified the chaos, as broadcasts, misinformation, and disinformation spread doubt and fear throughout enemy ranks, undermining confidence and creating hesitation that humans exploited without mercy. In the central systems, human forces systematically dismantled command nodes, disabling the Overlord's ability to coordinate fleet movements, resource distribution, and defensive operations. Each success compounded the next, creating cascading failures that left alien commanders increasingly desperate and disorganized. Allied species, observing humanity's relentless advance, began to offer open support, supplying intelligence, safe harbors, and experimental technologies that further magnified human capabilities. The Overlord's empire, once considered invincible, was now in disarray, unable to mount coordinated defenses or respond effectively to the highly adaptive and precise tactics of human forces. On board the flagship, Admiral Turner prepared for the final phase of the central assault. Crews understood that their actions in the coming hours would determine the fate of the Empire and the perception of humanity across the galaxy. Every system captured, every fleet defeated, and every strategic position secured was a demonstration of human ingenuity, discipline, and relentless determination. Across the galaxy, whispers spread of a species that had risen from ridicule to dominance, a civilization whose combination of adaptability, innovation, and courage had shattered the Overlord's centuries-long stranglehold. The psychological impact on enemy forces was profound. Fear, confusion, and despair replaced arrogance, control, and certainty. As human fleets closed in on the heart of the Overlord Empire, it became clear that the days of mocking humanity were over. Every operation executed by Admiral Turner and her commanders reinforced a stark truth. Humans were a force capable of altering the galactic balance of power, a species whose determination, strategic brilliance, and technological mastery could overcome even the most powerful and advanced civilizations. Humanity had transformed from the underestimated underdog into an unstoppable force, and the Overlords were about to witness the culmination of centuries of preparation, ingenuity, and indomitable spirit as humans executed the final, decisive phase of their campaign. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath, watching as a species once dismissed as insignificant now demonstrated its capacity to redefine power, strategy, and survival on a cosmic scale, proving once and for all that mocking humanity was the gravest mistake the Overlords had ever made, and that the stars themselves would never underestimate them again. The final phase of humanity's assault on the Overlord Empire began with precision and coordination that the aliens could scarcely comprehend. Admiral Rebecca Turner directed fleets converging on the Central Command citadel, orbital defense platforms, and critical resource hubs, each move executed with flawless timing and strategic insight. Captain Marcus Hale led specialized strike teams through heavily fortified corridors, using adaptive cloaking, AI-guided infiltration, and rapid deployment tactics to neutralize defensive crews, seize command terminals, and extract crucial intelligence that ensured each subsequent operation unfolded without error. On Earth, Dr. Elena Vargas' teams finalized enhancements to fleet energy systems, weapon arrays, and defensive shields, incorporating lessons learned from every prior engagement to create vessels capable of withstanding overwhelming firepower while maintaining unmatched maneuverability and targeting precision. The Overlords, facing an unprecedented combination of tactical brilliance, technological superiority, and psychological dominance, attempted desperate countermeasures, deploying experimental weapons, overloading orbital defenses, and concentrating fleets in hopes of overwhelming human forces. Each maneuver was anticipated, countered, and exploited by human commanders, who used decoy formations, synchronized strikes, and real-time battlefield intelligence to turn the Overlord's desperation into a cascading series of defeats. Across multiple fronts, human pilots executed maneuvers that alien officers could not track, appearing unexpectedly in blind spots, neutralizing entire squadrons, and disabling orbital defenses with surgical precision. Boarding teams infiltrated command centers, disarmed weapon systems, and transmitted false orders to remaining Overlord forces, amplifying confusion and accelerating the collapse of their centralized command. Psychological operations reached their peak, with carefully timed transmissions, manipulated communications, and disinformation campaigns eroding morale, spreading doubt, and breaking the will of enemy crews across the Empire. Allied civilizations, inspired and emboldened by human ingenuity and victory, supplied additional intelligence, experimental technology, and strategic support, ensuring the success of coordinated attacks that left the Overlord's empire fractured and vulnerable. The culmination of human strategy was the simultaneous neutralization of the Central Command citadel and all primary defensive networks, leaving the Overlord Council powerless to control their fleets or maintain authority over their territory. Every victory, every captured system, and every destroyed fleet reinforced a realization among the Overlords that centuries of arrogance and underestimation had left them fatally exposed. On board human ships, crews celebrated calculated successes with quiet satisfaction, knowing that discipline, coordination, and unwavering determination had brought them to this decisive moment. Civilian populations on Earth watched as the final stages of the campaign unfolded, witnessing the transformation of humanity from a dismissed, ridiculed species into a force that had rewritten the rules of interstellar power. In the aftermath of the decisive victories, the Overlord's Council convened one final time, stripped of control, influence, and credibility, forced to acknowledge that their long-standing assumptions about humans had been catastrophically wrong. Humanity's rise was complete. Fleets returned home carrying both survivors and prisoners, advanced technology and strategic intelligence, and the undeniable proof that they were a civilization that could not be ignored, mocked, or defeated. Across the galaxy, whispers spread of a species that had transformed the course of history through ingenuity, courage, and unrelenting determination. Formerly subjugated and allied species alike recognized the shift in power, understanding that humanity's emergence had forever altered the balance in the stars. The Overlords, once confident in their invulnerability, now faced the stark reality that mocking humanity had been their gravest mistake, one with irreversible consequences. Humanity had proven that adaptability, innovation, and the relentless will to survive could overcome even the most advanced civilizations, and the galaxy would never again underestimate the species that had risen from ridicule to dominance. As human fleets returned to secure territory, rebuild infrastructure, and integrate newfound technology, the lessons of the campaign were clear. Underestimation of humanity was fatal, arrogance toward humans was punished, and the species' potential for ingenuity, strategy, and resilience was limitless. From the shadows of mockery to the forefront of interstellar power, humanity had claimed its place among the stars, not through sheer numbers or brute force alone, but through the combination of intellect, adaptability, courage, and unity. The Overlord's empire was broken, their dominance shattered, and the galaxy itself had witnessed a transformation of a once-dismissed species into a force whose legacy would echo across light years. Humanity had decided to fight, and in doing so, had ensured that the stars would never again doubt the strength, ingenuity, and indomitable spirit of species that refused to be underestimated, dismissed, or defeated. The era of human ascendancy had begun, and the galaxy would remember forever the moment when mocking humanity became the deadliest mistake in cosmic history.